What if I told you one of the most effective American units in World War II didn't fire a single shot? Their weapons weren't rifles or tanks. They carried paintbrushes, turntables, and balloons. Yes, balloons. And with nothing but illusions, this unit managed to fool the Nazis over and over again, changing the course of battles without ever pulling a trigger. This was the Ghost Army of World War II, a top-secret group so unusual, so daring, that their story stayed hidden for decades. Their battlefield wasn't mud and bullets, it was deception, art, and sound. Their mission? Convince the Nazis that massive Allied forces were camped in places they weren't, while the real troops moved in somewhere else. And today, we're diving into this incredible story. How a band of artists and tricksters, armed with inflatable tanks, fake radio chatter, and Hollywood-level sound effects, helped tilt the war in Europe. The birth of the Ghost Army. In 1944, the Allies had a problem. Every battle in Europe was a chess match. Move one division here, and the Nazis immediately started adjusting over there. What the Allies needed wasn't just strength, they needed misdirection. So, the U.S. Army quietly created the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, about 100 men, tasked with the strange mission of impersonating an entire army division of 20 or more. Think about that. 1,100 men pretending to be 20 times their number, and their tools weren't rifles and machine guns. They had rubber tanks that could be inflated in minutes, massive speakers that could broadcast the sound of convoys miles away, and radio operators trained to mimic the chatter of real divisions. Who were they? Here's the twist. Many of these soldiers weren't professional fighters. They were painters, designers, stage set builders, and sound engineers. Some even went on to become famous after the war. Fashion designer Bill Blass, for example, and artist Ellsworth Kelly. Their artistic backgrounds were the perfect training for this strange war. Instead of canvases, their battlefield medium became deception. The arsenal of illusion. So, how did the Ghost Army actually trick the enemy? 1. Inflatable tanks and vehicles. From the air, they looked like Sherman tanks ready to roll. Up close, they were rubber, light enough for 2 men to carry. A field could be transformed overnight into what looked like a fully armored battalion. 2. Sonic deception. Engineers recorded the sounds of tanks moving, trucks unloading, and soldiers marching. Using giant speakers, some weighing half a ton, they blasted these sounds up to 15 miles away. To the enemy, it sounded like thousands of troops were on the move. 3. Radio trickery. Trained operators sent out fake radio transmissions, mimicking the call signs, styles, and patterns of real Allied divisions. Nazi codebreakers, listening in, thought they had identified entire armies, when in reality, it was just a handful of Americans with good improv skills. 4. Theatrical touches. Soldiers painted fake insignias on trucks, moved decoy tanks in daylight, and even dressed as officers to spread rumors in local towns. It was theater on a continental stage, and the Nazis were the audience. The stakes were deadly. Now, this wasn't just some prank. If the Nazis caught on, the Ghost Army could be wiped out in an instant. These men carried real weapons for self-defense, but they weren't trained or equipped to take on large-scale battles. Their power was in staying invisible, never letting the enemy realize they were a fake front line. Notable operations. The Ghost Army staged more than 20 deception operations across Europe. Here are 2 of their biggest moments. Operation Brest, 1944. They created a phantom army to make German forces believe the Allies were attacking a port city with overwhelming strength. In reality, the real troops were attacking elsewhere, catching the Nazis off guard. Operation Viersen, March 1945. Perhaps their most daring mission. On the Rhine River, the Ghost Army staged a fake crossing, using inflatable tanks, sound effects, and radio chatter. The Germans shifted forces to meet this phantom army, while the real Allied divisions crossed the river in a different location. Historians believe this saved thousands of Allied lives. The secret held for decades. For over 50 years, the Ghost Army's story was classified. Families didn't know what their sons and brothers had truly done. To the outside world, they were just soldiers in Europe. Only in the 1990s did documents begin to surface, revealing just how much their deceptions had shaped the war. And here's something incredible. In all their missions, the Ghost Army often operated just a few hundred yards from the front lines. They risked everything. Yet their success meant fewer lives lost in real battles. Why it mattered. The Ghost Army didn't win the war single-handedly, but their creativity created opportunities for real divisions to strike effectively. They turned the battlefield into a stage, and in doing so, saved countless lives. It's a reminder that in war, sometimes brains and imagination can be just as powerful as bullets and bombs. Closing message. The story of the Ghost Army is more than just history. It's proof of how human creativity can change the course of events. These soldiers fought not with destruction, but with deception, and they remind us that innovation is a weapon in its own right. So, next time you think of World War II, remember not just the generals and the battles, but also the artists, with their inflatable tanks, blasting sound effects into the night, fooling one of the most powerful armies the world has ever seen. What do you think? Could a unit like the Ghost Army exist today with modern technology? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more untold stories of history that combine courage and creativity, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened.